Hello. Today's video is going to be my current updated foundation routine using all my favorite go-to holy grail face products. So if you want to see my current foundation routine and what products I use to achieve that, then please keep watching. Okay, so the products that I'm using for this video are products that I reach for the most, or like my everyday go-to products. I have already cleaned my face and I already have my daily moisturizer on, and after I do that I go in with my facial primer. The primer that I like to use and that I'm loving so much right now is the Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer from Too Faced Cosmetics. It's just so hydrating and moisturizing, and it smells freaking so good. And I just like to take like 2 pumps onto my hand, rub that together just to kind of warm it up. And I just rub this all over my face. I take it down my neck and then I take it onto my forehead as well. I'm trying to be pretty careful because my eyebrows are done and I don't want to mess them up because it took me a really long time. Feels so good. My skin is super dry in summer and I just love, I have oily skin, you guys, but I love keeping my face moisturized. I also feel like it keeps oils at bay, so don't skip out on your moisturizer. Okay, so sometimes I'm feeling a little extra and I like to go in with another face primer. And I like to use the Professional Face Primer from Benefit Cosmetics. The reason I like to use this one also is because I have large pores here in my T-zone area on my chin and up here also. I don't know, I'm just probably why I'm such an oily bitch, but I just take like half a pea-sized amount onto my fingers. I rub it onto my fingers and then onto my T-zone area. I focus most of the product here on my nose and T-zone or whatever, in this area right here, and I just kind of push that into my skin because my pores are so large, because I want to like fill those pores with this so that they're not visible. And then whatever is left I take onto my chin and then up here, again being very careful because my eyebrows, don't want to mess those babies up. Once I work that into my skin, I feel better about myself. Okay, so the foundation that I've been absolutely loving lately is a drugstore foundation. I have used CoverGirl foundation since high school and I freaking love it, but this is a new one, I believe. It is their True Blend Matte Made foundation. This is from CoverGirl. Because I do have a fake tan, I'm going to use a tanner one today, but I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of this medium color. I'm gonna mix the T20 with the M10 just to kind of lighten this one up a little bit. I feel like even though it matches my fake tan, it's still a little too dark, so I like to mix it with a little bit of this one just to get like the perfect shade. Usually I would apply my foundation, especially when it's a pump like this, just like directly to my face, but because I'm mixing them, I'm going to apply 1 pump of the tan one, 1 pump of the lighter one onto my hand, and I'm just going to take a little like stick, this one happens to be the end of a brow pencil, and I'm just going to mix those up on my hand, and I want to make sure they're mixed really good. This might not matter because you can kind of mix it as you blend on your face, but I just like to mix it beforehand, and this 1-to-1 ratio of these 2 colors ends up being like the perfect shade for me. And then I like to take my beauty blender because this is pretty much the only tool I like to use for foundation currently. Beauty blenders are just bomb. Oh yeah, by the way, it's damp. Don't forget to dampen your beauty blender. It doesn't work as good if it's not damp. I don't even understand how anyone can use a beauty blender when it's dry. Come on, don't forget that step, and if you don't know, now you know. Okay, so I just like to bounce this into my skin with my beauty blender. So this foundation is such good coverage. I would say it's pretty full coverage foundation, and if you've seen the commercials or heard anything about it, it's transfer resistant, so it stays on your skin, and let me just tell you, it does stay on your skin. It's a 12-hour foundation, and I've literally slept with this on my face, which I don't recommend, but I have slept with this on my face, woken up the next day, and it still looked great. So another reason why I love this foundation. And it's drugstore. The shade range is very big. There's 40 shades, which I've actually swatched all the shades before. You can check that video out on my YouTube channel. Look it up. Just a really good foundation. Sorry, I'm like hitting my vocal cords as I'm trying to talk. You always want to make sure you blend into your hairline, but if you're like a platinum blonde, you want to be careful when you do this because getting foundation in your platinum blonde hair is not very cute. You end up with like an orange halo, and I know this because I used to be platinum blonde and it was an issue for me. And you always want to make sure that you blend your jawline and down onto your neck. Ladies and gentlemen, blend onto your neck all the way down here. Go back here if you need to. Go on your ears. You want to be blended all around. Perfect. Okay, so next up, now that I look crazy, let me fix my hair a little bit. Okay, so we've got our foundation on. We've blended. It looks good. Let me zoom you guys in a little bit. Okay, so next is contour. Usually I would do concealer, highlight, but I haven't been liking concealer lately, and I just feel like I don't really need it. I don't really have like too much dark circles, and the dark circles that I do have kind of get covered up with this foundation. I know I have a little bit of a dark circle. I get it. I know. I'm a mom. I don't know. I just haven't been liking concealer under my... I haven't been liking the brightness under my eyes lately. I just haven't been that into it. And with summertime, I just feel like adding this... I love this concealer, but I don't know. I just feel like it's too much product too. It feels too heavy for me. So I've been skipping the concealer altogether. Unless I have like a couple of blemishes, then maybe I'll go in just a tiny bit, like with the tiniest amount like this, and just like conceal those little pimples or spots. But I have not been liking a lot of concealer lately. I've been kind of skipping it altogether. So I'm not going to do it in this video because I don't want to. Just going to hide those little spots a little bit. So we're going to go straight into contour, and lately I've been liking a cream contour. I've been using the Urban Decay Naked Skin concealer in a darker shade to contour my cheekbones and face. And this one is in the shade Dark Neutral. I've never been super into a cream contour, but the past couple months I've really been liking it a lot. I used to be like only powder contour was like the only thing I would do, but not now. Okay, so a little bit of this goes a long way. It's a pretty thin consistency, so you don't need too much. And I just put like a little line like that. You don't want to take it too far out here, or else you're going to have like a super long, harsh line of contour. And then I take it up here on my forehead also because I want to warm up the perimeter of my face. I have a pretty large forehead, so I'm not really worried if it ends up looking a little bit smaller because I can afford to lose some forehead. And then I also like to contour my nose just to kind of define my nose a little bit. So I will take a little bit of this very carefully along the sides of my nose like this. Voila. And then you're done. Just kidding. And then you're going to blend this out. And to blend this out, I'm going to use a brush. I feel like I have a little bit more control with the brush. This brush is from Pink Dust Cosmetics. It's just kind of like an angled fluffy brush. I don't know what you really call this, but I like it for blending out cream contour. And the thing with cream contour is you want to keep it in a certain area because it's there for a purpose. So using a really light hand, I'm going to start blending this out, but I want to really control where the product is going. I want it to be like in this like triangle like pattern here. And I'm using a light hand to just really blow this out and blend it. And the reason you don't want to take it too far down is because it ends up looking too phony and too like drag queenish, which is fine. Nothing against drag queens, but I don't want that like look right now. I want it to look more natural and just like, you know, a shadow. I don't want it to look super dramatic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I don't like to take it too far down. But if you do it right, it'll look really, and it just makes my cheekbones look bigger and higher and nicer. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I feel like cream contour though is kind of tricky, but if you're careful and you take your time, it'll look great. And then I also feel like it's great to go back in with your beauty blender and kind of just go over that area a little bit with a really light hand and whatever foundation is left, and kind of just blend it, diffuse it a little bit more. Kind of just softens everything up a little bit. Okay, and then I like to go back up here. This area is a little bit easier, and just go back in and diffuse all of this. I apply the contour here just to kind of warm up my face a little bit. This is more to give me like a more tanned look than anything. The contour I do here is to accentuate my cheekbones, but this around my forehead is more to just give me like a bronzed tan look. And then whatever product is left on the brush, I'll go in and kind of just define my jawline a little bit. Just kind of create like a really little shadow to just make my jaw look like a little more defined. Pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and blend this concealer out along my nose. Okay, so now that I've contoured my face, I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil matte bronzer. And this is my favorite bronzer because it's matte and it smells like freaking chocolate. It smells so good. Like, I want to lick it because it smells so freaking good. So I'm going to go in with this to just kind of bronze my face a little bit. This is a little bit, I'd say, warmer than the color that I used to contour with. And I'm going to use this big fluffy powder brush from Real Techniques. I'm going to use just a tiny bit because a little bit of this goes a long way, and I'm just going to go over the areas that I contoured and a little bit beyond just to kind of bronze up the whole entire face a little bit. I'm also using the tiniest amount and the lightest hand because I don't want to be orange. I just want to be a bronze glowy goddess. Okay, now I'm going to bake a little bit. So to bake my face, I am using the Maybelline Fit Me setting powder, loose finishing powder. This is in the shade Fair Light. I like to take the beauty blender that I used earlier and just dip it right in here. It ends up looking like that. So I like to set this area here just to kind of define that area a little bit. I also like to take this along my nose like so. So I like to bake my nose area as well as that area as well. I don't like to take it too far out, but just around my nose, just to kind of define my contour around my nose also. I do it on both sides, obviously. And then I don't re-dip the sponge, just whatever is left on it, I'll take it down the bridge of my nose also, and then I will put a little bit here in between my eyebrows onto my forehead a little bit, just because I tend to get a little bit oily there. Sometimes I'll even take it onto my eyelids just to kind of set my eyelids with a little bit of powder so my eyelids get a little bit greasy too. And then I'll also put some on my chin. So I kind of just use this to define some areas. Oh, I didn't do this side. Okay, so I do this to kind of just define the areas that I contoured, just to give a little bit of contrast and, you know, kind of clean up the lines if I messed up, even though I didn't, but I do this anyways. And also to set areas that get a little bit oily, like my T-zone area, my eyelid area, my forehead, my chin, and then again just to kind of define like my nose contour as well. Now I know some people like to bake for a long time, but I don't. I literally bake for like a minute or whatever. Like, this is even too long because I'm talking. So what I like to do is take that same fluffy brush from Real Techniques, the one I use to just kind of bronze up my face a little bit. I know there might be a little bit of bronzer in here, but because I use such a small amount of product, there won't be a lot. But I use the same brush to kind of just brush away that setting powder, and I'm okay with a little bit of bronzer happening too, but see how it just kind of like defines everything in the slightest bit. Kind of makes that contour like pop a little bit more. And then yeah, kind of just lightly dust away the setting powder, and at the same time, like whatever is left, set the rest of my face, but not too much because I don't like to set my whole face with powder. I used to be really into that, but not anymore. So I really like to like lick it away as quick as possible. And I'm using a super light hand to dust this powder away because I don't want to mess up my base at all. And I don't like a super heavy nose contour because I just don't really like the way it looks, but I do like to do a little bit because I feel like without doing at least a little bit on your nose can get a little lost, you know? Sometimes I'll even go back in with that Too Faced bronzer and this weird little brush right here and just kind of lightly define this area of my nose. Just like the tiniest bit. Okay, so I'm like coming to life a little bit. It's looking better. Okay, so after I have foundation and contour and baked and set and whatever, I'm going to now highlight my face. And my favorite highlighter, I've used this in quite a few of my videos, but my favorite highlighter is this one from Benefit Cosmetics. It's their Dandelion Twinkle highlighting powder. I just feel like it's such a pretty highlight, and it's like subtle but still pop, and it's not like thick chunky glitter either, so it's like, I don't know, I just love it, and I think it smells good too. Yeah, it does. But this is my favorite highlighter, so we're gonna highlight with this right now. And my favorite brush to highlight with is this one right here. It's kind of just like a small little fluffy brush. This is the Anastasia A23 highlighting brush, I think. So I just like to take some of this highlighter onto my brush. Do this side, and then I like to highlight. Ooh, see, it's so pretty. Just highlight the tops of my cheekbones. See, it's just so pretty. It's like subtle but still poppin'. And then I like to re-dip and highlight up here, my forehead. You want to highlight the highest points of your face, so like all the points of your face that the sun is gonna shine on if you were outside, or if you're in a fluorescent studio lighting like this. Okay, and then I also like to highlight underneath my brow. Sometimes I'll use like a smaller, more precise brush to do this, but a lot of times I'll just take this one and go right here underneath my eyebrow. We gotta be careful because it does get on your eyebrow. And then I like to highlight my chin. I like to highlight my Cupid's bow just to kind of bring that out, accentuate it, let everyone know I have one. And then I like to highlight down the bridge of my nose right here and like the center, and then also the tip of my nose. I think highlighting is like one of my favorite things to do. It's just like fun. It's like relaxing. Ooh, it's not much work that goes into it. I don't know, I feel like it's pretty easy. And then of course do the same areas on the other side of my face. My battery is gonna die. This highlight's so pretty. And now you're glowing. After highlighter is blush, and my favorite blush right now is from Too Faced Cosmetics. How cute is this packaging too? This is their Love Flush Long Lasting 16-Hour Blush in the shade Baby Love. So cute. Love this packaging so much. Pretty. So to apply this blush, I like to use this brush here from Real Techniques. It is a tapered blush brush. Mine's dirty, sorry. I just like to dip a little bit into this. Now when I apply my blush, I like to smile like this. I'm so happy. And just apply this to the apples of my cheeks in like circular motions, but because I don't want to look like a doll, I'm going to flick it out also. And I don't like a lot of blush either because I also don't want to look crazy. But I want to look like I'm alive and flushed. So I don't want to skip the blush either, because sometimes when you don't wear blush, you look like dead. Like you don't have like blood circulating through your body or something. But it just looks nice, okay? And then I also take a little bit onto my chin area very lightly. Like I don't even re-dip. Just whatever is left on my brush. And then also on my nose. You know, maybe I'm a little sun-kissed. Just a little. And then up here on my forehead also. So I want to look like I'm alive. It's just like the perfect, most natural looking blush in my opinion. It's so pretty. It's a really pretty color. Okay, so after blush and before we finish our foundation routine, we're gonna go in with some setting spray. Let me grab mine. So I have two favorite setting sprays, and I use these both a lot, but I use them for different reasons. So this one I feel gives me a more hydrated look, especially now when my face looks pretty I guess matte and powdery, and like I have like a fresh face application on. Sometimes I'll use this so I don't look so like powdery, I guess, and just to kind of, you know, or I'll use this when I want to just look a little more on the dewy side, because it's more of like a dewy look, I feel, or it just makes you look like, I don't know, does that make sense? I feel like when I use this I look a little more on the dewy side, even though it's not a dewy setting spray. Maybe it's just because I have oily skin. But anyways, I would use this one like right now because I don't really like when my makeup looks like too powdery. I like when it looks like it's like settled into my face and my oils and stuff. But I love this one so much. It's so refreshing and it smells bomb. But I also love the Urban Decay All Nighter, which I would use more like if I was like gonna go out and I want this look to last like all night. If I want to pull an all-nighter, like, or if I just want this to last like all day and I'm not gonna have a lot of time to touch up during the day, this is what I would use. This is amazing. They're both amazing setting sprays, but I personally use them for different reasons. But I think right now, I think I'm gonna use this one today for this video. I'm just filling this one right now. So this is the Too Faced Prime Set Refresh Hangover 3-in-1 Replenishing Primer and Setting Spray. You can also use this before you put on your makeup as like a primer, just to be a little more moisturized. But I'm gonna use this today, right now. So I just spray this on. And then, oh, it smells so good. And it feels like so refreshing, especially because it's like 100 degrees outside. So I just let that dry a little bit. It kind of just makes my face look a little more hydrated and not so powdery, which I love, but also sets and refreshes your look. So I really like this. So that is my current foundation routine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, and please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!